The morning sun shone through the tall windows of Oak Ridge Middle School, casting long shadows across the classroom. Elias sat at his desk, fidgeting with the edge of his notebook. Today was supposed to be just another ordinary science class, but something deep inside him felt restless. His hands were warm, almost tingling, like they carried energy he could not control. He shrugged it off and focused on the experiment laid out on his table, a simple chemical reaction that should produce smoke. Elias' classmates chattered around him, excited and nervous. He tried to concentrate, but his mind kept drifting. He noticed Mira, his best friend, leaning over her desk, whispering about the new art project they had to finish. "I wish we didn't have to do all this boring stuff," she said softly. Elias smiled at her, but before he could answer, the teacher's voice cut sharply through the noise. "Everyone, eyes on your experiments. Safety first." Mr. Harlow reminded them, adjusting his glasses. He was tall, with a serious expression that rarely changed, and today he seemed even more tense. Elias glanced at the chemical mixture in front of him. It looked harmless, white powder, a bit of liquid, but something inside him reacted differently. His heart beat faster. As he reached for the dropper, a sudden warmth rose in his chest. It was strange, almost like a tiny flame flickering just beneath his skin. He paused, unsure of what was happening. His classmates were laughing and joking, oblivious to the feeling that grew stronger inside him. Elias took a deep breath, telling himself it was nothing. Then it happened. A small puff of fire shot out from his mouth, bright and hot, flickering in the air above his desk. The classroom fell silent. Smoke curled toward the ceiling, and the heat made papers ripple. Elias froze, wide-eyed, unable to believe what had just occurred. "Elias, did you just?" Mira stammered, staring at him with a mixture of fear and awe. I don't know." Elias whispered, his hands trembling. The flame had vanished, but the warmth in his chest remained. His classmates backed away, some shouting, some laughing nervously, and a few were clearly terrified. Mr. Harlow slammed his hand on the desk. "Everyone stay calm," he barked. "Elias, come here. Now." Elias obeyed, feeling both scared and oddly alive. His mind raced. He had always felt different, but never like this. Never had he thought he could breathe fire. He stepped toward the front, his heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst from his chest. The school alarm began to wail, a sharp, urgent sound that echoed through the halls. Teachers were calling for order, guiding students to the exits. Elias saw parents gathering outside the building, eyes wide with fear as they tried to understand the chaos. Somewhere deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning. Outside, the city seemed to hold its breath. News drones hovered, recording everything while sirens grew louder in the distance. People pointed at the classroom windows, whispering and shouting. Elias felt exposed, vulnerable. He wanted to hide, but part of him knew he couldn't run from what he had become. Suddenly, a shadow passed across the sky. It was massive, dark, and fast, moving with an elegance that no human machine could achieve. Students and teachers alike stopped in their tracks, eyes turning upward. Mira grabbed Elias' arm. "Look," she shouted. A dragon swooped down, wings wide and shimmering in colors Elias had never seen before. Its scales reflected the sunlight, sparkling like jewels. Smoke trailed from its nostrils and its golden eyes fixed on Elias. The crowd gasped. Cars screeched to a halt. People pointed and screamed, but the dragon moved with purpose, calm and commanding. Elias felt a strange pull toward the creature, a connection he could not explain. It was as if the dragon had known him before he had even been born. Fear battled excitement in his chest, but before he could react, another shadow appeared. A second dragon, even larger, with silver scales and eyes that glowed like the stars. The two dragons circled above the school, their wings beating in a rhythm that shook the ground. Teachers tried to usher students away, but Elias couldn't move. He stood frozen, staring up at the dragons as the warmth in his chest grew stronger, as if responding to their presence. Mira tugged at him, her voice frantic. "Elias, we have to go. Now." He wanted to follow, but his legs refused. It was not fear that held him, it was something deeper. The dragons were here for him. Somehow he knew it. His mind raced with questions. Why him? Why now? The first dragon descended again, landing gracefully in the school courtyard. Its massive claws barely touched the ground, and its wings folded elegantly behind it. It lowered its head, golden eyes locking onto Elias. He felt a surge of understanding, a strange recognition. He was not alone. He had never been alone. The second dragon landed beside the first, silver eyes softening as they looked at him. They exhaled gently, smoke curling around them like a protective shield. Elias could feel the heat, not painful but alive, powerful, familiar. Elias, a voice echoed in his mind, deep and melodic. It was not spoken aloud, but he understood it perfectly. You are chosen. You carry the spark of fire within you. You belong to no one world alone. Come, learn who you are meant to be. Elias' heart pounded with a mixture of fear and wonder. He glanced at Mira, who looked both terrified and amazed. She mouthed, "Go," giving him the courage he needed. He took a deep breath, feeling the heat rising in his chest again. The dragons waited patiently, wings spread wide, inviting him into the unknown. For the first time, Elias felt that his life was about to change forever. He was no longer just a boy at school. He was something new, something extraordinary. Flames flickered on his lips once more, small but steady, and he knew he could not hide. With a final glance at Mira and his classmates, Elias stepped forward. The golden dragon lowered its head and he reached out. Warmth surged through him as he touched the scales, and the world seemed to shift. The dragons exhaled, a wind-carrying sense of distant worlds and ancient skies. Elias felt a thrill he had never known. Fear and excitement mingled as he realized that this was only the beginning of his journey. The city, the school, even the humans he knew, everything was about to change. And somewhere deep in his chest, the spark burned brighter than ever before. The dragons waited, patient and wise, ready to take him beyond Earth, beyond the known, to a place where he could truly discover the fire within. Elias inhaled, flames flickering faintly around him, and with a determined step, he climbed onto the golden dragon's back. As the world fell away beneath them, the sun glinting off scales and rooftops, Elias knew one thing for certain: nothing would ever be ordinary again. The wind roared in Elias' ears as the golden dragon lifted off the ground. The city shrank beneath them, streets twisting like tiny rivers, cars and people looking like toys. Elias gripped the dragon's scaled neck tightly, heart pounding in his chest. Flames still flickered faintly at his lips, small sparks that matched the fire roaring inside him. He looked over at the silver dragon flying beside them. Its eyes glimmered with intelligence, and it exhaled smoke in steady pulses. "This is real," Elias whispered, unable to keep his voice from trembling. The dragon's voice filled his mind again, calm and melodic. "You are part of a greater world now. Fear is natural, but control will come." Elias tried to steady himself, imagining the flames as a part of him, not something dangerous. The dragon's wings beat in powerful rhythm, lifting them higher and higher. Below, the city stretched like a maze and sirens screamed in confusion. People pointed up, some crying, some cheering, but most just stared in shock. Elias realized that humans had never seen anything like this before, majestic creatures from the stars, carrying a human boy who could breathe fire. Mira had stayed behind, waving frantically from the school courtyard. Elias' chest tightened. He wanted to call back to her to tell her he was okay, but he couldn't. His focus needed to be on the dragons, on controlling the fire inside him, and on understanding the strange pull that had drawn them to him. The golden dragon shifted, gliding effortlessly above the clouds. The sunlight glinted off its scales, turning them into rivers of gold. Elias could feel the heat coming from its body, not painful but alive, like standing near a warm fire. The silver dragon circled, and its voice spoke in his mind as well, gentler this time. "You are unique. Humans like you are rare. Your power is ancient and important." Elias swallowed hard. "Ancient? Important?" he thought. Flames flickered from his mouth again, just a small puff, and the dragons reacted as if acknowledging it. Their wings adjusted, keeping him steady. The wind rushed past, carrying smells of smoke, clouds, and something strange like metal and water mixed together. Elias had never been anywhere like this. Suddenly they passed over the city's edge and saw a wide forest below, green and wild. The dragons angled toward it, and Elias' stomach flipped with excitement and fear. The golden dragon's voice entered his mind once more. "This is a place of learning. You will train here. You will learn control. You will learn purpose." Elias' mind raced. Training? Purpose? He had no idea what he could do except that he could breathe fire. The silver dragon added, "Others will test you. Some may fear you. Some may need your help. You must be ready." The dragons descended into a hidden valley. It was massive, surrounded by cliffs and mountains, with waterfalls cascading down and pools of crystal-clear water. Trees stretched toward the sky, their leaves shimmering with colors Elias had never seen. It felt alive, almost as if the land itself was watching. The dragons landed gracefully. Dust and leaves swirled around them as they settled. Elias stepped down from the golden dragon's back, knees shaking. He ran a hand along the dragon's scales and felt warmth and strength. The dragon's eyes met his, golden and deep, and Elias felt a strange trust. The silver dragon lowered its head, smoke curling around its muzzle. "You are safe here," it said. "But safety is not your goal. Learning is. Control your fire, control your fear, and you will grow." Elias nodded, though he didn't really understand everything. He looked around the valley and saw other dragons, some huge, some small, resting or flying. Some had scales that shimmered with blue, red, or green, colors he had never imagined. They watched him curiously but not with threat. He felt their intelligence, their wisdom. A voice echoed in his mind, different from the dragons he had met. It was calm but strong, like wind moving through mountains. "Elias, you have been chosen because of your fire. You carry a gift humans do not understand. We have been watching, waiting for someone like you. Your time has come." Elias felt a surge of fear and pride. Chosen? He had always felt small in his school, unnoticed and ordinary. Now he was part of something vast, something far beyond Earth. He felt the warmth in his chest flare slightly, a reminder of his fire. The golden dragon lowered its wings. "Tomorrow you will begin training," it said. "You must learn to breathe fire with control. You must learn to move with us and to understand what your power means." Elias nodded again. He looked at the silver dragon. Will I be able to go back to Earth?" he asked nervously. The silver dragon exhaled softly. "You may visit, but your place is here for now. Humans need time and you need understanding. Soon they will see you differently. Soon your fire will be more than sparks." Elias' mind whirled. He had left his life behind, school, friends, everything familiar. But for the first time he felt like he belonged somewhere. He was not just a boy who accidentally breathed fire. He was something more, something important. As night fell, the dragon's eyes glimmered under the stars. Elias sat quietly beside the golden dragon, watching the sky turn dark and filled with distant lights. He tried to imagine the adventures ahead, the training, the flight, the control. Fear still lingered, but excitement replaced much of it. From above, other dragons circled, their wings cutting through the night air silently. Elias realized he was not alone. He had allies far stronger than humans, creatures older than any story, and a power inside him that could change his world. The golden dragon's voice filled his mind one last time that night. "Rest now, Elias. Tomorrow your journey truly begins." Elias lay on the warm scales, closing his eyes. Flames flickered softly on his lips, a promise of what was to come. The wind carried the scent of mountains, fire, and freedom. For the first time in his life, Elias felt ready. He was no longer just a boy from a school in the city. He was a fire-bearer, chosen by dragons, and his adventure had only begun. Elias woke to the soft light of dawn filtering through the valley. The warmth of the golden dragon's scales beneath him was comforting, and the soft scent of the forest filled his senses. Yesterday's events still felt like a dream. Flying through the sky on dragons, leaving the city behind and feeling the fire within him, it was all too much to take in. Yet the heat in his chest, steady and alive, reminded him that it was real. The golden dragon nudged him gently. "Elias, it is time," it said in his mind. "Today you begin your lessons." Elias took a deep breath. His flames flickered faintly on his lips as he followed the dragon to a wide clearing. The valley was alive with dragons of all shapes and sizes. Some perched on cliffs, watching silently, while others glided through the sky, their wings cutting the morning air with precision. Elias felt both excitement and nervousness. A smaller dragon, with deep blue scales that shimmered in the sunlight, landed in front of him. Its eyes were sharp and intelligent. "I am Caliph," it said. "I will help you understand your fire." Elias nodded, feeling the heat in his chest flare slightly as he looked at Caliph. "First," Caliph said, "you must learn control. Fire is not only power, it is responsibility. Humans often fear what they do not understand. You must show them that fire can be guided, not wild." Elias took a deep breath. He raised his hands, imagining flames forming, but nothing happened. His frustration grew. "I can't do it," he exclaimed. Flames flickered weakly on his lips, but they were small and uncontrolled. Caliph circled him slowly. "Control comes with understanding. Fire is part of you, Elias. Not a weapon, not a curse. Feel it, do not fight it." Elias closed his eyes and tried to calm his mind. He thought about the warmth in his chest, the way it pulsed with life. Slowly, a small flame appeared at the tip of his tongue. It hovered there, flickering gently, not burning but alive. He opened his eyes, amazed. Caliph nodded approvingly. Good, the dragon said. Now breathe and let it flow. Let it follow your will. Elias practiced for hours, learning to control small bursts of flame. Sometimes they fizzled out too quickly, sometimes they flared too high, but each time he tried again he grew stronger. The dragons watched, occasionally offering guidance, their voices calm and patient in his mind. During a break, Elias wandered to a stream that sparkled like diamonds. He touched the water, and it rippled with his reflection. He could see his face, still human, but something had changed. The fire in him was not just power, it was part of who he was. And now, dragons had come to teach him what it meant to be more than ordinary. As he rested, the golden dragon landed beside him. Elias, it said, you are learning quickly. But there is more than control. You must learn understanding. Fire is not only for strength, it is for life, for protection, for connection. Elias listened carefully. Connection? He asked. Yes, the dragon replied. You and the dragon share a bond that humans have forgotten. Long ago, humans and dragons worked together. Firebearers like you were leaders, guides, protectors. You carry that legacy. Elias felt awe and a strange pride. He had never thought of humans as important in a cosmic way. Now he realized that even humans, small as they were on Earth, could hold power that mattered across worlds. The fire within him was proof of that. Caliph returned, flapping his wings. Time for flight lessons, he said. Elias' stomach twisted with both fear and excitement. He climbed onto the dragon's back, gripping scales that were warm and steady. As they lifted off, the valley fell away beneath him. The wind whipped past his face, carrying scents of fire, water, and earth. Now, Caliph said, feel the air. Feel the rhythm. Fire is not just in you, it is in motion, in balance, in life. Let it guide you. Elias focused, imagining the flames responding to the movement of the dragon's wings. Slowly, small sparks flickered from his mouth as he leaned with the dragon's turns. Each gust of wind, each flap of wings, sent the fire dancing in patterns he could almost control. He laughed, exhilarated as Caliph soared higher, spinning in loops above the valley. After hours of practice, Elias landed, exhausted but thrilled. His chest burned with both fire and excitement. He realized that fire was not just something he did, it was part of him, part of how he could move through the world, protect others, and be important. That night, Elias sat beside a glowing campfire, dragons resting around him. The golden dragon lay nearby, its eyes reflecting the flames. Elias thought about Earth, about Mira, about school. He missed the familiarity, but he understood now that his life had changed. He was no longer just a boy at school. He was a flame bearer, a student of dragons, and part of something greater. Caliph came to sit beside him. Elias, it said, you have learned well today, but tomorrow you will meet others. Humans like you will test your courage. Dragons will test your strength. Your fire will be needed for more than practice. It will be needed to protect, to lead, to inspire. Elias nodded, the fire in his chest flaring in agreement. He was ready to face the challenges. He had begun to understand that the dragons had not just chosen him for his power, they had chosen him because he was human, because humans could be brave, clever, and strong even in the face of fear. He looked at the stars above the valley. They were brighter than he had ever seen, distant and endless. He imagined flying among them, fire trailing from his mouth, dragons at his side, exploring worlds humans could never dream of. For the first time he felt confident that he could do it. The fire in him was no longer a secret, a danger, or an accident. It was a gift. It was proof that humans, even small ones like him, could reach beyond their limits, touch the skies, and stand alongside creatures older and wiser than any human mind could imagine. Elias closed his eyes, feeling the warmth of the dragons and the fire within him. He knew the journey ahead would be difficult, full of tests and challenges. But he also knew that he was ready. His lessons had only begun, and the fire he carried would light the path forward. As he drifted to sleep under the watchful eyes of the dragons, Elias felt a deep connection, not just to the creatures around him but to the power within himself. He had left Earth behind for now, but he was not lost. He was learning, growing, and preparing to become something extraordinary. The fire within him was alive, and so was his courage. Tomorrow he would take another step. Tomorrow he would learn more. And soon, the human boy who breathed fire would understand what it meant to truly belong among dragons. The morning sun rose over the Dragon Valley, casting long shadows across the cliffs and pools below. Elias awoke with a sense of anticipation. Today felt different. The air was heavier, the wind sharper. As he stepped outside, the golden dragon was already waiting, wings folded, eyes alert. The silver dragon circled above, silent but watchful. Something was coming. Elias felt it in his chest, the same spark that always told him fire was near. Caliph landed beside him, scales glinting in the sunlight. "You are ready for today," it said in his mind. "But danger is approaching. You must be brave, Elias. Fire alone is not enough. Courage will guide you." Elias swallowed hard. Courage? He had felt fear before, standing in front of his classmates, breathing fire, facing dragons. But this fear was different. It was real, looming, and alive. He took a deep breath and let the warmth in his chest spread outward. Flames flickered faintly on his lips. He was ready. Suddenly, a shadow darkened the valley. Elias squinted and saw massive ships moving above the mountains, sleek and fast, unlike any human machines. Their shapes were sharp, metallic, and they carried weapons that glowed with energy. The dragons tensed. The golden dragon's eyes glimmered with warning. "Rogue aliens," Caliph said. "They fear the bond between humans and dragons. They will try to destroy us. You must act, Elias." Elias felt a jolt of fear. He was just a boy, even if he could breathe fire. Could he really help the dragons? The golden dragon lowered its wings, inviting him to climb on. Elias mounted quickly, gripping the scales tightly. Around him, other dragons took flight, circling in formation. The valley seemed to hold its breath as the alien ships approached. The first wave of attack began. Bright energy beams shot from the ships, striking the cliffs and forests below. Trees exploded in fire, rocks shattered, and the ground shook. The dragons swooped and twisted, dodging the attacks with incredible speed. Elias' chest flared with heat. He exhaled fire instinctively, small flames bursting toward the incoming energy beams. To his surprise, the fire scattered the energy, creating a shield of heat and light. Caliph circled him, guiding him. "Focus. Your fire is more than bursts. Direct it, control it. Protect your allies." Elias concentrated, imagining the fire moving with his thoughts. He inhaled, then exhaled, and a stream of controlled flames shot toward the enemy ships. Sparks sizzled against the metal, forcing one ship to veer away. The dragons roared in approval, their wings beating in rhythm with his flames. One ship managed to break through the defenses, heading straight for the valley. Elias' heart pounded. This was real. Lives were at stake. He focused harder, feeling the fire in his chest burn brighter. Flames surged from his mouth in a continuous stream, hitting the ship and forcing it to retreat. The other dragons circled, supporting him, protecting him, but he realized something important. He was not just along for the ride. He was part of the battle. The rogue aliens launched a second wave, larger and more aggressive. Elias felt fear creeping in again, but he reminded himself of what Caliph had said: courage. Courage was not the absence of fear, it was acting despite it. He inhaled, letting the fire flow steadily, and moved with the golden dragon as they soared through the sky, dodging attacks, countering with flames. Suddenly, a bright blast from a ship hit near the golden dragon. Elias felt the heat of the explosion, saw sparks flying, and his chest tightened. He exhaled instinctively, flames bursting from his mouth, and the ship's energy dissipated in a burst of light. The golden dragon's wings shivered, but it remained steady. Elias realized he was not alone. The dragons trusted him, and now he trusted himself. He began to see patterns in the enemy attacks. Energy blasts followed lines, ships moved in predictable arcs, and the fire in his chest responded to the chaos. He could guide it, aim it, and protect the dragons. His fear faded into focus. Each breath of flame became a tool, each movement part of a larger strategy. He was learning what Caliph had promised. Fire was more than power, it was purpose. The battle raged for what felt like hours, though it was only a fraction of that. Alien ships began to retreat, damaged by coordinated dragon attacks and Elias' precise flames. Finally, the sky cleared, leaving smoke and ash drifting over the valley. Elias landed with the golden dragon, chest heaving, clothes scorched, hair messy but alive. Around him, dragons circled, some injured but unharmed, all watching him with respect and awe. Caliph landed beside him, eyes softening. "You have done well, Elias. Not because of fire alone but because of courage. Humans are often underestimated. But today you proved that a human can stand beside dragons and make a difference." Elias felt a strange pride swell in his chest. He had been terrified, unsure of himself, but he had acted. He had faced danger and survived. And in that survival, he had learned something important. Humans were capable of extraordinary things, even in worlds far beyond their own. The golden dragon nudged him gently. Rest now, Elias. The lessons are not over, but today you have shown that you can rise to the challenge. Courage and fire together make a force the universe cannot ignore. Elias nodded, watching the dragons circle above the valley. The sky was painted with the colors of dawn, the smoke from the battle slowly drifting away. He realized that this was only the beginning. There would be more challenges, more dangers, and more enemies. But he also knew that he had a place among dragons, that he was not just a boy from Earth. He was a flame-bearer, brave enough to stand against threats far beyond human understanding. That night, as the stars appeared over the valley, Elias sat beside the golden dragon, flames flickering faintly on his lips. He thought of Mira and Earth, and a determination grew inside him. He would return someday stronger and wiser. He would protect not only the dragons but also his own world. Humans, too, had a role in the greater universe. Elias closed his eyes, feeling the warmth of the dragons around him and the fire within him. Courage had been tested today and he had passed. The fire that once scared him was now a tool, a friend, and a part of who he was meant to be. As sleep claimed him under the watchful eyes of dragons, Elias knew that tomorrow would bring new lessons, new challenges, and new adventures. But he was ready. His fire was steady and his courage was stronger than ever. The human boy who breathed fire had learned that bravery and power could change the course of a battle, and perhaps, someday, the fate of worlds. The valley was quiet after the battle. Smoke had faded, and the air felt clean again. Morning light spread slowly across the cliffs and water pools, touching the scales of resting dragons. Elias stood near the edge of the clearing watching the sunrise. The fire in his chest felt calm, steady, no longer wild. He felt different now. Stronger. Wiser. The golden dragon stepped beside him, wings folding with care. "You have changed," the dragon said in his mind. "Not because you fought, but because you chose to protect others." Elias nodded. He remembered the fear, the noise, the flashes of light in the sky. He remembered how his hands had shaken, and how he had still breathed fire when it mattered. "I was scared," he said honestly. The dragon's eyes softened. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is choosing to act while fear is present. Humans forget this often. Dragons do not. Other dragons gathered nearby. Some had small wounds, but none were lost. They looked at Elias with respect. Not as a child. Not as a guest. But as an ally. Elias felt warmth spread through his chest, stronger than fire. It felt like belonging. Caliph landed gently in front of him. "The rogue ships have fled," Caliph said. "They will not return soon. Word will spread across the stars." A human stood with dragons and did not fall. Elias felt his face grow warm. "I just did what I could." "That is enough," Caliph replied. "That has always been enough." As the day passed, the valley slowly returned to life. Dragons flew again. Waterfalls sparkled. The land healed. Elias helped where he could, carrying supplies, checking on injured dragons, offering water and comfort. Each dragon accepted his help without doubt. He was one of them now. Later, the silver dragon approached. Its voice was calm, deep, and clear. "Elias, your training here is nearly complete. You have learned control. You have learned courage. Now you must make a choice." Elias felt his heart beat faster. "A choice?" "Yes," the silver dragon said. "You may stay with us longer or you may return to Earth. Both paths matter. But Earth needs you now." Elias thought of his school. Of the classroom. Of Mira. Of humans who had looked up at the sky in fear when dragons arrived. He realized something important. Humans were afraid because they did not understand. Just like he had been afraid of his fire. "If I go back," Elias said slowly, "will the dragons still watch over Earth?" The golden dragon stepped forward. "We will. But humans listen best to other humans. You are the bridge, Elias." The word settled deep inside him. He was not just a flame bearer. He was a connection. A link between worlds. The fire in his chest warmed, not burning, but bright. "I'll go back," Elias said. "I want to help my world understand." The dragons lowered their heads in respect. That night, Elias prepared to leave. The golden dragon knelt so he could climb onto its back. The valley glowed softly under moonlight. Dragons watched silently as he took one last look. He felt sadness but also hope. The flight back to Earth was calm. The stars stretched endlessly around them. Elias breathed slowly, feeling the fire inside him move gently with each breath. He was no longer afraid of it. It was part of him, like his heart or his thoughts. As they neared Earth, clouds parted and city lights appeared below. The golden dragon landed far from the city, hidden among hills. Elias slid down and stood on solid ground again. The air felt different, heavier but familiar. The dragon lowered its head. "Your journey is not over," it said. "It is only changing." Elias placed his hand on the warm scales. "Thank you for believing in me." The dragon exhaled softly, smoke curling like a promise. Then it spread its wings and rose into the sky, vanishing among the clouds. Elias walked back toward the city as the sun began to rise. When he reached his neighborhood, people stared. News screens lit up. Whispers followed him. Some were afraid. Some were curious. But Elias stood tall. At school, silence filled the halls when he entered. Mira ran to him and hugged him tightly. "You're back," she said, eyes wide with relief. "I am," Elias replied. He smiled. In the days that followed, Elias spoke openly. He showed control, breathing small, harmless flames under careful watch. Scientists observed. Leaders listened. Fear slowly turned into wonder. Humans began to understand that fire did not have to destroy. It could protect. High above, dragons watched from the clouds, unseen but present. One evening, Elias stood on a hill outside the city. The sky burned orange and gold. He took a deep breath and released a small flame into the air. It danced briefly, then faded. He smiled. He was still human, still learning, still growing. But he knew now that humans mattered. That even a boy from a small school could stand beside ancient beings and change the path of fear into trust. The fire within him was steady. His courage was strong. And the future, wide and unknown, felt bright. Somewhere beyond the sky, dragons flew freely, knowing that the bridge between worlds was no longer broken. A new dawn had begun.